Well, I'm Jonathan Lambert, with Yakama Nation Fisheries. We're working on South Fork Cowiche. We do have another project, I guess I'll talk about it in a little bit, but, where we have been doing efforts out there for PALs and BDAs on surrounding area. But we are focusing on designs in that red polygon, and Coalition Reynolds Creek is just right down there, and yeah, we have PALs and BDA's project planned through most of the state land, all the way up to Reynolds Creek. And when we were going through that low-tech process-based design, going through BPA, they wanted this section we're proposing for funding for designs was a little bit too risky for just low-tech process-based restoration of PALs and BDAs. So that's why we're pursuing a little bit of engineering support to kind of make this a contiguous restoration reach through all that state land below Reynolds Creek. So, and then I guess just a little bit of context. I mean, a lot of you might be already familiar with a lot of the context with South Fork Cowiche Creek and just Cowiche in general. But Mid-Columbia steelhead go up there, not a bunch, but some. Historically, there should be a lot more. And some of our initial recon and surveys, suggest that it's was historically a pretty significant beaver complex. Pretty intact riparian vegetation, lots of relic channels, and some of the geomorphology highly suggested. Yeah, there was beavers moving around there, abandoning dam spots and building new ones all around. Some of the other degradation is, past forest practices and grazing. And I guess in the context too, I think it was 2017 is when DFW purchased this land from the Van Wicks. So we've had a lot of support from DFW of Creek Wildlife Area on doing restoration through here. And yeah, some of the initial stuff, actually referring to Zach's survey out there, all the data shows that it's, pretty incised. It's mainly just a straight fast water ripple through everything, and it's kind of creating this negative feedback loop of just channel incision, simplification, and decreased habitat. And yeah, it's like the last bullet is like, it's kind of functioning as a very efficient system, as in letting water go off the landscape, but really this system really should be a very non-efficient system of keeping the water on the landscape for longer periods of time and, helping attenuate that base flow to peak flow hydrology. And then kind of threw this in last minute, just kind of like how it kind of builds upon previous actions in basin. I know there has been a lot of funding, a lot of work already done in Cowiche, but there hasn't been a ton of work in South Fork Cowiche. So like I said, we have a pretty significant project planned for the next, multiple years of implementing numerous PALs and a few BDAs to help kind of increase that sinuosity of the system and just create diverse, complex habitat. From my understanding, a lot of the stuff in the lower main stem Cowiche has been addressed with like some in-stream flows for passage. So when you get up to the South Fork, we feel it's pretty significant for all life history stages of like if steelhead are coming up this far in the basin, then they're going to want to be in South Fork Cowiche. So we want to, create a good home for them to do what they need to do to all their life histories. And yeah, I guess before I was here, Kelly Clayton, coworker, did that project just farther down on South Fork Cowiche. Just large wood placement, so it's kind of extending up from there. And yeah. So I guess kind of tying into our PALs and BDAs in general, I think most of us are kind of in tune with like what our broad goals and objectives are, but we want to, you know, create more stream length, so increasing sinuosity and trying to get that scour and depositional kind of going, so we have better gravel, spawning gravel recruitment and sorting and retention of all that gravel. And increased off-channel habitat. So I have a few pictures later on with, you know, just like a straight run for most of it. It's just all fast water ripples. And so there's just very limited places for juvenile fish and adults to, you know, find refuge during adverse conditions of flows, both high and low flows. And we'll get to a few images later of like, we ran through some initial models, you know, and just seeing it out there, there is tons of opportunity for reconnecting relic side channels. There's high and dry, and that negative feedback loop of channel incision has just significantly hindered the stream's ability to connect those at high flows and at different stages of flows. And there's some sections where there's just some pretty high velocities that are kind of damaging to the adjacent Cowiche Mill Road, which we'll get into, and just fast waters. So first I want to show the next slide has the same date of the pictures were taken, but this is from just a bit upstream, just past, there's the Van Wicks held portion of property. So this is just up from that. And I point this out because this is kind of the stuff we want to emulate. This is like suspecting this is a more recent relic beaver dam site where it's been abandoned, but still has the remnants of what it was doing. So, I mean, there's like multiple channels going all the way back here, and multi-braided. There's probably like 6 or 7 channels that are distributing flow. And in the middle of summer at base flow, you could see tons of fish, all different like size classes in these habitats. So kind of use this as a reference. I did also find when I was walking through here, you know, there's this big backwater alcove that it continues up past where the image shows, but that is connected and water present during base flow too. So it's really awesome spot where, you know, stream power is discharged and, you know, provides juvenile refuge during, you know, potential 5, 10, 15, 20-year flows. I also did find just this last summer when I was walking through here, found a beaver skull that was just up in the, you know, nearby, and all these trees like that one that's kind of laying down right there, beaver chews. There's just beaver sign everywhere, you know, everything's eaten by beavers, but not recent activity. So that's what sparked the idea of, you know, let's do this heavy PALs, BDAs, adaptively manage through our, you know, tribal technician crew and just kind of in-house work. But we want to extend that with which I'm still getting to, with the funding request for design work section.
So this section you've got on the screen, is that above Reynolds Creek or below? Or?
It's below Reynolds Creek, but above that sliver that was still retained by the Van Wicks. And then here's just a couple slides on, you know, some of the, what looks like. So keep that last image and that's last slide in mind versus what it looks like on the project site that we're proposing for some engineering designs. You can really see the inside and channel incision and very limited, quality pool habitat. It's just. Yeah, it's just rushing up the landscape, very fast water. You can't really see the substrate too well in this, but, it's mostly just cobbles, some patches of gravel, but they're not. Very conducive to like. Where fish would want to spawn, so.
What
Yeah.
time of year was this taken?
This was actually just. Like 3 weeks ago, so
So it's pretty much high flow.
this was like the high flow, which. This year it wasn't nearly close to like what the.
Is it wet year round up there? Or is it dry up in September, October?
It's wet year round, but yeah, I think the CFS during this was like. 100 to 120. So these are just the main channel, and. This next slide just kind of shows some of the stuff we're trying to reactivate and some of the problems we're looking at where. The picture is hard to do justice, as most pictures of when you try to, take scenic pictures, but it's particularly hard on this site because there is such thick riparian vegetation in some places. But, we can see has some pretty significant, the Cowiche Mill Road, constricts. The river scape pretty significantly in a lot of spots, and this is one of those spots. And, this bottom image is kind of one of the high relic side channels that, you just cut off, and you can even see like in the low points of that side channel, there's round river rock, so the flow historically would get up there. And then same with the upper one, again, the picture does not do justice, but it goes through a vegetated corridor that has, signs of erosion, deposition, and some scour that it was kind of a relic channel that hasn't seen water for I don't know how long, but yeah, we want to try to spread out the flow and create a mosaic of habitats. So here's kind of what we're looking back, and I might scroll back slides just to get reference of what we're looking at, but this is that, red polygon we were looking at the very beginning, and this section that's kind of in the red square is just one of the spots you really think and want to reconnect the floodplain, where it's opportunistic. Lots of sign through there and lots of depressions where channels could, connect, but really it's just confined to this single channel that's pretty straight and fast and very limited habitat.
Which way's
Right is the current,
which way's downhill?
That's downstream. So the flow is flowing that way.
and the right is the modeled current conditions of the 10-year flow.
Yes,
Okay, so it's actually fairly connected at higher flows if you get up into the 10 to 20.
yeah. And these are, initial models, like, very rough sketches to just trying to get an idea. And so, yeah, we just see a lot of potential here where we could, increase floodplain connectivity. And you can show it a little bit better on this next slide. This kind of model is kind of same thing, a little bit of numbers, again, it's kind of early stages conceptual at this point, but we see that there's a lot of potential for side channel connections and yeah, just to read wet floodplain. And this is kind of what sparked the need for some engineering support, because of getting funding through BPA, just kind of doing it in-house, there was too much risk with potentially having some adverse impacts to Cowiche Mill Road. Particularly, it would get inundated at this pink, and then at those bows where it goes next to the road, that's where that last picture was, where it's just kind of scouring the road prism. And the county, we've had the county and Oak Creek Wildlife Area, involved in some meetings, and they've expressed support in this and pursuing some options of how we can, address the integrity of Cowiche Mill Road, but also provide some habitat. Sounds like the county and a lot of other sections of Cowiche Mill Road are pursuing, other things of protecting the road, because it is a pretty chronic problem throughout the whole drainage in Cowiche Mill Road. And I guess, thanks for speaking up with the question. If you have any, like, along the way, just feel free to fire away. So kind of leading into, we had funded just getting a concepts from parametrics, and they provided just some concepts that I'll share, but yeah, we had kind of just outlaid here, like, alternative one was the highest uplift, moderate and low, and we had met with the county, Oak Creek Wildlife Area, and our kind of our core team Habitat with Yakama Nation Fisheries, and kind of came to the conclusion that alternative two, with some critiquing or some modifications and refinement of the potential side channels, still it's conceptual, so we'll, figure out what aligns with goals and objectives more closely later. But alternative one, the reason we didn't want to necessarily go with that one is because in order to get the Cowiche Mill Road out of the floodplain of the stream, had the area to work, it was going to be a significant amount of cut and fill that would be a lot. It was like 80,000 cubic yards of fill to like create the road. So it was by specs of certain grades and all that jazz. So seemed like a heavy lift for amount of benefit, and permitting wise, or through our HIP 4 with BPA, we weren't sure if that'd be covered. So alternative two, with connecting multiple side channels, and some redirecting the stream power away from Cowiche Mill Road, we could provide the most ecological uplift that would be the most cost effective. And so I was going to try to share the other page, but they're kind of broken up and kind of messy, but try to just walk through the big picture. So here is where we had that, that lateral connectivity through here, lots of potential for multiple side channels to reconnect, and with some light excavation for some of them. And then the green, you can see that from back there, there's kind of these green polygons that would be, providing some protection / vegetation planting to protect Cowiche Mill Road. So we're not sure quite yet if we're gonna like pursue, everything, all the side channels, all the backwater alcoves in this design, but these are kind of like the laid out options that we have to work with. And the light blue polygons are kind of those backwater alcove potential areas. Again, this kind of just scratched in like potential, but not necessarily backwater alcoves during all periods of flow, but like for high flows and whatnot.
Mark asks, is this area all Oak Creek or part private?
It's all Oak Creek here. Yeah. And so yeah, so these, I think the pointer to where it's going. Oh, there we go. You have to press it pretty hard.
Yeah.
So these are those areas that was bumping right against the road, and kind of similar thing where the topography and the LiDAR shows like, kind kind of a high relic side channels that would be more of a straight alignment, but these would just alleviate some of the stream power that is pounding against the road, on all of these, and just create some like, we convert these into like side channels, kind of. Still, there's some refinement of how that would model out, but, just kind of options laid out. And
So you'd actually be significantly straightening the main channel, but adding additional.
yeah, and that's definitely one of the things we'd want to work with consultants to refine and, you know, figure out the best option for that.
You were concerned about the high velocity. And this would make it more so.
Yeah. So one of the first things I thought of too, it's like, we don't necessarily want to straighten the channel, but we want to do disperse the flow. So maybe it could be designed to be 50-50, or these. Cause I didn't like how the solid blue lines should be shown differently, where they could be actually just high flow side channels to, you know, disperse that flow. And even on I forget which bend of the river it was, but there was one there was an accident where a truck had gone into the river. And so it's a hazard for the people that live way upstream. And yeah, we have a series of, you know, ELJs. That'd be pile driven ELJs along the road, and then some people just loose wood for roughness.
How far are you from the cattle guard? At the end of the pavement,
Oh,
5 miles, 10 miles?
I don't exactly know. It's probably like 5 miles maybe.
People live on the pass there.
Yeah, there's some like off-grid communities up there.
Can you?
They have a reputation for being really welcoming.
Yeah, yeah.
Apparently you got a government flag.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess any other questions so far, or any slides back, and I'll probably kind of rush them through things, but. Yeah. So yeah, it's just the kind of the metrics, you know, potential for like 6 annually activated side channels. Again, not sure if we're gonna, you know, do all of them or which ones make sense, but these are kind of the potential outline. 7 2-year flow, you know, so many linear feet. And that potential 2 new channels created. That would be the straighter alignment, but definitely one of the things we'd want to nail down on those. And then, yeah, 86,000 square feet of backwater. When I was walking through the last time I was out there a few weeks ago, some of those backwaters could be possibly perennial. But I think the way that the geomorphology in that section, it would be mainly just, you know, high flow, partial of the year backwater alcoves for juvenile refuge. And that's pretty much it. Just the budget. I had to kind of lump together some of the things in there, but overall we're requesting just under 165,000. And this would cover, you know, so we spent 35,000 on the conceptuals, and this would fund everything through final designs, including some permit support and construction website. So
That's total with construction,
not with construction.
say construction oversight.
Um,
That's not construction, that's just design.
yeah. In our overriding contract that we're, you know, hopefully gonna amend, it had a piece on like helping with that, but there'll be some refinement to it. Yeah.
Actuals budgeted there, or
Um,
Even if it's matched from in-house.
yeah, well, actually, I mean, Wilbur, our archaeologist, did already do the cultural survey for our entire like BDA's house, so the cultural is already covered, but that was for a previous level activity, so there'd be some, additional cultural survey. But it shouldn't be too much of a lift to, um, amend what Wilbur's has already completed. Any slide you want to go back to discuss or anything? For discussion.
Rally for the last presentation.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are all exhausted and ready to get out of here.
That road hooked back into the one on the south.
That's what I see. It, everything I saw out there was pretty old beaver activity.
It'll come up.
Really old degraded shoes. But I hadn't seen any recent things, in the past few weeks.
What's the reason? What's the thinking that it's not as good?
What was the question again?
The recent beaver activity versus relic beaver activity. I'm not sure why they aren't there too much. I know they're still fairly active up Reynolds Creek, but I suspect down here, my understanding beavers don't really like high velocity flows, even though they like to block it, but they might have just abandoned it because their habitat's
Pretty common up here. I want to say through right around 2015. And in these small systems, it can be high flows, but mostly that doesn't send them away. It's often low flows and associated predation, or it's they ate out their food. In 2015, I think on a lot of our smaller systems, the flows were so low, I suspect we had a lot of very happy predators.
Yeah. That's what it looked like when I found that beaver skull.
And it's, yeah, that question, if we can get beavers into places, but what does it take to keep the food flow?
If anybody wants some, they can come out my place and catch them. Although there's several of the dams got washed out last month.
Anybody else? You may have just done a good job of presenting.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
So am I right that a bunch of the makeshift places are just downstream of your project site?
Bunch of the what?
Pretty makeshift places, what we used to call Pallet Hill.
There's one that's a ways down. It's probably like a half mile down. And we were originally like, so this, I wish I put in a couple of the images of what we have for the PALs and BDAs, but originally our PALs and BDAs did creep into what we're proposing for designs, but to make the designs more contiguous and to encompass everything, we were kind of holding off on a few of those BDAs. So we're just gonna skip upstream for this season. And I guess I'll add to like, talking with Alex and Shane during the pre-application, a big concern is like the low flow, how beneficial is spreading outflow in this basin or in this watershed. We're trying to, there's not much flow to spread out. And we want to kind of focus on in-stream habitat and kind of how I see it is that, we're doing the very focused in-channel PALs and BDAs work that is providing a lot of that habitat, but this site shows potential for reconnection and just having that like that mosaic heterogeneity of habitats available. I think could be beneficial for the overall just habitat complexity. So. And then I guess also with the channel, multiple channels, talking with some of the fish biologists at Yakama Nation, about the whole potential fish stranding. One thing to note is like there isn't a super sharp irrigation up in this section of South Fork Cowiche. So when fish are in these side channels or backwater alcoves and they're starting to go dry, those fish can move. So they have plenty of time to, not potentially get stranded in those side channels. But be able to find refuge during certain flows.
Yeah, that extra note reminds me to ask, was there any question besides that you were thinking someone might ask?
There's man who loves this.
So, well, is there anybody on Zoom that has a question?
I do not.
Thanks, Jeff. Speaking for the group. Okay, well, it sounds like we're ready. Y'all, you feel like you have what you need to put together a great site tour?
Yeah.
Okay,
Next month or
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you much, Johnny.
See ya.